Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I hate this.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia.
Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I hate this. What are you doing here? This is awful.
Well, you continue then. Today, Bill, very voluntarily, out of his own free will, he's not being forced, he's not being held hostage, is going to review some books that he definitely also read out of his own free will.
Yeah. This is digging into my ankles a little bit, by the way.
Is?
Can you just loosen it somewhat?
I didn't get the joke. Okay. I got it now. Yes, very funny. You don't normally read books. I normally read books.
Yeah.
You normally play video games. I don't normally play video games. Sometimes we swap these things, right? To pretend like we're interested in each other's hobbies. In fact, I think we did a whole video just about that sort of trade-off, didn't we?
We did.
I'll link that in the description box if you want to know more about this. But anyway, as part of this trade-off, Bill suggests video games for me to play. And while I play those video games, he reads books that I give him. And we've been doing this for a good 8 years now. And today I asked Bill to review some of the books that he has read as part of this trade-off. So we're going to discuss 4 books today. I think I'd like to start with the most recent one that you finished, which is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This is a book that I had just finished reading when I immediately told Bill that he needed to read it as well as soon as possible. And I think this is a rare case of books that I gave this one 5 stars. It's already one of the highlights of my 2020 reading year. And I thought you would like it as well.
Yeah.
Would you?
Well, I found it intensely atmospheric, impeccably paced, and cunningly structured. And that is a rarity in contemporary fiction.
Why? Why did I think this was a good idea? Let's try this again. So, Bill, how did you enjoy Fingersmith by Sarah Waters?
It's a thumping great read.
Do you remember what it's about?
Yeah, I do. It's about white gloves. And
I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this.
I need it. My commentary.
What's something usable?
I know. I'm not here to help.
Right.
No, it was fine. It was very good. I liked all the fingersmithing that goes on in Fingersmith. Was
Oh no! And this is the one he only finished like 3
very
weeks
good.
ago.
It was very good fingersmithing. They smithed so many fingers.
This is a historical novel.
All about violence against women
Basically,
and using the threat of sexual violence.
yes, within a Victorian context. So it follows a girl who grows up kind of in the sort of illegal scene of Victorian London, with pocket thieves and forgers. And then she ends up working as a maid in the house of a rich, eccentric man and his niece. And that is the setup, but there are so many plot twists in this. And I think this is why I gave this to you to read, because normally books that I really enjoy are very slow-paced, very kind of light on plot. But this one is not light on plot. This one has like one hit after another, and I thought you might enjoy that.
Beetle! Oh, Beetle! Help me, Beetle. Cut through the chains, Beetle.
Bill, I want one usable sentence out of you about this book.
Fine. There are always novels that you can envy people for not yet having read. No, I thought it was it was a lot kind of darker, I guess, than you would expect it to be. It starts off being a lot more kind of light-hearted and fun when you first meet the thieves and the gentleman who's going to be driving the whole story. But it does go pretty dark later on. But it comes together nicely. You come out of it feeling like, hey, that was a horrible bunch of things that happened there, but it ties up nice.
It's a really good story. Like, just the plot of it is really well thought out. There are books where, if you summarize the plot, they don't sound like much. If you try and summarize the plot of this, you can already tell that this is just...
Yeah, if I summarise that, I've told you. I mean, me sitting here going for about 10 minutes, which I presume has been cut out.
Yes, it has.
It does not make good television. Was not so much remembering the books, it's thinking, what can I tell you without spoiling it?
Yeah.
Because the plot does kind of take a lot of turns, and it's very cool. Certainly enjoyed the experience. I would recommend Fingersmith to anyone who can read.
What I liked about the book is that it is a historical novel. I think it's the first time I've given you a historical novel to read.
Yeah.
But it reads very modern. A lot of the themes, and I say modern, this is already almost 20 years old, but a lot of the themes that are explored within this historical context are really very relevant today. Mm-hmm. And I think readers are going to get a lot of meaning out of the book that is kind of wrapped up in this really fast-paced, really interesting and very quickly changing story.
Yeah. Now tell me your review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I hated it. The music was terrible and it's too fast. Okay, so this is the one that you most recently read, so I wonder if you remember anything about The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. You can't do the same joke twice!
Has captivated readers for over half a century.
So this is the first time...
It's expected at this point.
This is the first time that you actually finished a classic. This is a 1950s dystopian, post-apocalyptic / apocalyptic novel. Mm-hmm. The other attempt was, I tried to get him to read Pride and Prejudice, and I don't think he made it past the first chapter.
Day of the Triffids is a book about scary mutant plants that make you go blind.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, well done on the summary, but did you enjoy it?
Yeah. It's kind of creepy and scary, and and it's largely it's the reason that the sort of garden bit around the back of our house looks like it does. I ain't going in there again.
No, we're not going near that. But I gave that to you again because it is very plot heavy. Mm-hmm. I've since read another John Wyndham book, The Kraken Wakes, which is a lot slower paced than The Day of the Triffids. But oh hey Beetle, hello.
I say what I want now because she never cuts out the cat bits.
Yes.
Whatever I say now is getting on YouTube. If only I had something to say.
Day of the Triffids. Yes. So it's an old book again. It's 70 years old now, but it reads fairly modern. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that you've got some interesting thoughts on... I feel like we should just move on to the next one.
He just looks disappointed.
Just hold him up to the camera.
Doesn't he? Doesn't the dude there just look disappointed?
Yes.
Like,
he's like...
Everything's... Like, giant plants are attacking us and we're all getting poisoned and going blind and everyone's dying and humanity's dying out and it's horrible.
Yeah, no,
disappointing.
He looks like me when my houseplants get pests. Mm. Just like, oh, I paid $7.99 for you in the garden centre. People are going to click into this video expecting, discussion about books.
They're not.
I know.
They see me here, they know it's not going to be a normal thing. It's got, two different sorts of horror. It's got the horror of suddenly becoming blind and having to find your way around an apocalypse, and the things what are actually killing people and causing the apocalypse in the first place are kind of scary in their own right. And how does the human race deal with that? And it turns out not very well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very original sort of end of the world scenario. Because I think even by the end of the book, and that's not really a spoiler, you don't really know where these plants came from or why the events of the book happened as they did. Yeah, I think the human nature aspect of this book is very well presented. And again, even though it is from the 50s, I think it reads surprisingly modern. We're not going to talk about 4 books because this is already going to take me all evening to edit. But I really did want to hear your thoughts on Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. And the reason why I wanted to hear your thoughts about this is because I have literally never heard a man talk about this book. Like every booktuber that I've seen talk about it, it's been female. I've had friends read this book. Quite a few of my friends have read it. They were all female. And I find it a kind of a shame that a book like that has been sort of pushed into the corner of women's fiction, which it is because it is about women. But that doesn't mean that men can't read it. What did you think of that book? So that was a bit of an interesting choice for me to give to you.
I don't know, we don't have a cover for me to read off. So I had no idea. No, I thought it was really good. It was actually a very relatable experience, and despite my gender not matching the main character, I feel like that's a really dumb thing about the way that everything works, is that women are expected to identify with male
characters all of the time, yeah, of
male
course.
protagonists and female protagonists, but men can't identify with female protagonists ever, because that would be gay.
Why did you find Eleanor Oliphant so relatable? Because I think that is one of the big draws of the book, that I think a whole lot of different readers will find themselves in her. Like, I don't think we have very similar personalities, me and her, but still.
No, but I'm not going to armchair psychologist the character, except that it is a very good expose, I guess, of certain tropes that you get with mental health. There's certain mental health issues that people have. I thought were very well expressed and very well described in the book, and just how Eleanor reacts and responds to the people and the world and the events around her is obviously not a most of the time a neurotypical response. Being not wholly neurotypical myself, I was able to identify very much with some of the ways in which she did that. But I think everyone gets that to some degree from that character, because there's so... I'm trying to sound clever and I'm just not.
No, this is really interesting because I see what you mean. And when I discussed Eleanor Oliphant previously on my channel, I'm always very careful not to, like you said, armchair diagnose a fictional character. And every time I get people saying in the comments, "Did you know she is autistic?" Like that's a response I get when I talk about the book. But
not necessarily. But there's lots of things that even those of us who consider ourselves the most kind of well-adjusted in society, if you've ever had a moment where you thought, "Oh, I can't be bothered to deal with people," or even with this person, like, there is something in the character with which you can identify. It's funny, isn't it? Like everyone identifies with the outsider.
yes.
Because everyone in some measure, in some way, is an outsider. Yeah. We have this vision of everyone else as being the in crowd, but everyone has that vision of everyone else as being the in crowd.
And that's it. That, like, Eleanor Oliphant takes this sort of underdog story, but her triumph doesn't come from fitting in the end. Her triumph comes from, I guess, a sort of deeper self-knowledge, which, yeah, I think that is what a lot of people connect to.
It touches on kind of non-conventional sort of relationships between people in ways that most media doesn't. So media likes to normally very clearly categorize people, like this is this person's partner and this is this person's friend, and they fulfill those very obvious, very clear roles. In this book, like with the main male character, and I also think with her colleagues as well, there aren't those obvious descriptors that you put to people. And I think that's very good because the world doesn't really work like that either.
Yeah, definitely. That was a good book discussion.
There you go. I'll give you one.
Cool. So we managed to talk about 1 out of 3 books.
I had comments on the others as well. They're all good. Read them all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Read them all. Books mentioned are going to be in the description box, potentially timestamps as well, depending on how long this video ends up being. But by the time you're seeing this, you've already watched all of it anyway. That was Bill reviewing books, a format that is never coming back. So I hope you enjoyed this one off. If you want to see more of Bill talking about books...
Don't be a dick. I did it. I was very good.
I'm very grateful.
I can read.
I know, you can.
Yeah.
You're very good.
I can read. I can talk. And those are 2 of my skills.
Have you considered becoming an audiobook narrator?
Yeah, you just
genuinely, people comment on your voice. I think Americans like a British accent. All right. No, that if you want to see more of Bill, maybe he'll come back and talk about more books if you ask very nicely, and maybe he'll make his own booktube channel. Thank you for watching.
Bye.